Tornado, and today we're going to talk about Bob Lazar again. And today we're going to try to understand what people that are new to this story should be looking at rather than what they shouldn't be looking at. Okay, so basically, what happens to you when you find out about the story on YouTube? So basically, you're getting yourself into something that's pretty much a paradox. A paradox, and it's very difficult to see the truth in it because, first of all, there is no solid proof of any kind, and you can only rely on hints or clues, and most of them come from, obviously, from Bob Lazar and Bob Lazar's interviews, and that's the only way you can sort of try to analyze his body language or get some kind of clues if he's telling the truth, and most likely you're going to end up doing that. As far as other videos goes, other documentaries regarding Bob Lazar, there's nothing new in those stories, and no matter how funky they look like, they're pretty much the same footages over and over again, and they don't offer any extra information on Bob Lazar. So, however, this something we have to understand what really Bob Lazar was saying, and if we can get past that problem, and then we have to quickly switch our focus on the evidence that supposedly was left behind in S4 or Area 51, but which was the UFOs, the 9 UFOs, and that's something that we should be focusing on instead, because especially for the new audience of Bob Lazar, they have to understand it's a paradox. It's a story that it just leaves you empty-handed on the end. So it's sort of something you have to decide from the clues that you're getting and observations of the interviews from Bob Lazar. That really is what you're left with on the end. But personally, I'm a witness of such phenomena, not in particularly UFOs, such as Bob Lazar have seen, but orbs, lights in the sky that are shown in the video below. I'm gonna leave the link to that video for you from Western Massachusetts, and you can see what orbs really look like in real on a tape. So and that's something, a solid proof right there. It's you can really visually see something, and it's a lot easier to understand my story than you would if you went to blogtornado.com under the UFO section and see my article regarding UFO and orb phenomena. So here you have a real proof, and it's less difficult to more easily to be accepted. Like Bob Lazar's story, it just ends up being another UFO story out there on YouTube. Except if it is true, then we have to look at this story from a completely different angle, because those UFOs could mean a lot of things. They could answer the questions whether, obviously, if alien life exists outside, in the universe, and of course that answers everything right there. But not just that; it also answers the question of whether life existed before us. So when we ask, is there life in the universe, and we have to understand that once we look at those UFOs, the UFOs tell us basically the sophistication that they're made from, and something we cannot yet reach with our knowledge of technology, and they just tell us that they were there before us. Okay, so but we have to understand also that aliens didn't just were born that way, but yet the evolution had to take place to get to that point of such advanced technology, which means they were just there before us. Life existed before our existence. So and also, so that's the problem, especially for the new audience of Bob Lazar that's gonna fall into this paradox. So I advise you to shift your focus onto what happened to those UFOs, and where are they now? Okay, because that's the important question at the moment, because the story has been about 30 years old, and you have to understand that such story is we were way behind here of what's going on. Okay, so while most of us are still getting stuck, even though this story of Bob Lazar is 30 years old, we're still getting stuck on this story right now as I speak, and we're just like focusing on his story. And again, it's a paradox, so you're gonna be in there for a long time, because either way you turn, there's no solid evidence. However, like I said, for those who can read body language, okay, you're probably past that point, and now you're probably seeking the question about where exactly those UFOs are now, and what does that mean for the U.S. military? And well, anybody who possesses such technology, basically, and has an opportunity to gain some knowledge from it. Again, how long before, we don't know. Could have been more than 30 years, and 40 years, 50 years. We don't know how long before those UFOs existed, before Bob Lazar witnessed those UFOs himself. And what has U.S. military learned since then? Again, it's a sort of technology that it's capable of distorting time and space and bending light. From what I heard from Bob Lazar's story, and such technology is not even in proximity of our understanding of how it works. And whoever got their hands on, and as human nature is, we quickly learn about things as soon as we have some clues or something that we can study. And in this case, in particular, there are 9 UFOs. We have to understand that those are actual fully functional vehicles. In some cases, some UFOs were actually operational. And if such technology falls into our hands, it's not going to take long for us to figure out how it works. And that is true. And not just human beings, we're capable of learning things fast. Not in years, but months. Okay, so in this situation, the fact they were there for more than 30, who knows how long, many years, so many years, then by now, to be logically thinking about this, U.S. military has to be on a completely different level here, because as far as weaponry goes, if they were able to get some kind of knowledge as far as technology goes, or navigational knowledge, and because the craft itself it's carrying the anti-gravity propulsion system, and that's something that's something we still need to understand how it works. And also the fact that the craft is capable of carrying antimatter, is capable of containing antimatter. It's something totally different technology to understand here, because antimatter, as you know, will destroy any kind of matter it comes in contact with and basically annihilate it. And therefore, anything that can contain such powerful energy has to be highly, highly advanced. So, so again, focus more on where those UFOs should be, And that's the awareness we should bring up more, rather than getting stuck on Bob Lazar's story for so long, and there's nothing more we can learn from him. So and there's many questions the UFOs can answer, if the story is true. Basically, can answer a lot of technological problems for us that we're facing, as far as stellar travel goes, space travel goes. And not just that, but if those 9 UFOs possess such fuel as antimatter, then we have to understand how powerful this technology could be, and could also be a danger to planet Earth, because they're a lot more powerful than nuclear weapons that we actually possess. Okay, when nuclear weapon is being detonated, you have to understand, you can still see the ground. As far as antimatter goes, if that goes out of control, there will be no ground to begin with, and that's the problem. That also could be a reality if this story is true. And not just that, there's 9 of those things. Okay, so and also perhaps were those UFOs left for us, like I mentioned in the previous video, were those UFOs left for us to escape in case of some kind of disaster that might be coming, that we are not aware, and yet they know about it. We're quite familiar, our Earth is quite familiar with asteroids, in our history, and those are the things that we have to consider, and there's a lot of questions surrounding this particular story, more so than any other UFO stories out there. That's why the story is kind of more important than many other stories, because a lot of other stories that you see on YouTube are basically rotating around the fact of the gray aliens. Do they exist? But in this particular case, they actually left something behind, which is what we really want, to get a taste of this mysterious, extraterrestrial truth. If they exist. Okay, this is a physical proof that they do exist, and not just that, but there's a lot more that we can learn from this. So it can answer a lot of questions. Anyways, if you enjoy the show, there's subscribe button on the bottom right corner if you'd like to give it a thumbs up. And I will talk to you more about Bob Lazar, when something comes up next video. Take care. Cheers.